Well, good morning, Houston. This is Oscar Hines. Welcome to the Morning Edge here on the Edge Radio Network. This is going to be an amazing conversation.
Yes.
We have joining us Dr. Kiva Davis. How are you, Doc?
I'm rocking and rolling.
Well, you got the total colors on to be rocking and rolling.
Exactly. Got on purple today.
I love
royalty.
I love it.
Welcome,
And then we have the inimitable Miss Sean Eaglin. How are you?
Good
Miss
morning,
Sean?
guys. I am happy to be here with you guys.
Guys,
Thanks for having me.
well, it is good to have you. And I have to say, we were having a conversation a few weeks ago that was preempted, and it was one of those things where I was like, we need to go back to this discussion because it can really shed some light on what's going on now.
Right.
Dr. Kiva, I know you and I talk health and wellness, and Miss Sean here, she is into the political space, and we need some surgery right now in this election.
Yes.
So we all saw the debate. Some people called it a dumpster fire.
It was. Yeah, I agree.
And let's talk about that a little bit if we can. What were you guys' take on what that was last Tuesday?
Well, to be honest, I only saw little snippets of the debate because I knew that it was going to make me feel a certain kind of way. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to be stressed about it. So what I did see was just, it was so unprofessional, let alone presidential. It wasn't respectful. People weren't able to really give out what their plans are or what they were because 45 kept interrupting.
Yeah.
So I think it didn't really give us any new information, just kind of showed us how we're down a deep rabbit hole.
I agree. It was definitely non-presidential. I was more shocked from Biden in a sense because I think most of us felt that Trump, would interrupt, would be unprofessional, would be non-presidential, even though he's 45.
Right.
But Biden almost, he was making a mockery of him, but that still took away from his luster.
Right.
He should have just kept his cool. And for some reason, he was unable to do that literally the entire time. Now, I think he was definitely more coof, but he still, kind of made a mockery of it as well.
So it's interesting. So from a PR standpoint, you felt like Biden really needed to pull back to be. How would you describe his behavior though? Because the take that I got is that Trump is a schoolyard bully.
Yeah.
I mean that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known guys exactly like him in New York. I know their exact sort of makeup. And so what Biden I think was trying to do was be like, I'll take you in the back and punch you in the nose, that kind of thing, being that guy.
Yeah.
And
he reeled him in. He reeled Biden in, and Biden took the bait.
Right.
And let his emotions overtake what his plans were. So no one took away, like you said, like Kiva said.
Yeah.
No one took away what are the plans, platforms, even platforms.
Yeah.
We focused on the banter.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, like I said, I didn't watch it. I just saw snippets. I heard someone say, well, it kind of showed that Biden was not mechanical in the sense
true.
In the sense of if he kept going, it's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah,
Because
that's
how many
true.
of us would probably say that, oh,
yeah.
dude, okay, could you let me shut up?
Yes.
You're being a clown.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
kind of showed, okay, well, he has that human
Yes.
aspect.
I agree.
And so and so also talking about his son being on drugs, it kind of also showed, okay, well, he understands what 1 million or so people are going through with their family members on drug, and he can relate to that. So some things made him a little more relatable also.
Yeah, that vulnerability that he showed with sharing his son's story. I agree with that. It showed his human side, but it didn't necessarily show his presidential side.
Don't you think Trump was baiting him? Because when he's like, your son was a loser, he didn't even graduate, and then why do you get $1 million? He was goading him.
Yeah.
And I think what I saw is that he wanted Biden to lose his cookies because Biden has a temper. I mean, we've seen it. Like there was confrontations with the general public where he was talking about punching some guy in the nose, and I'm like, so this notion of his being presidential. I mean, he's the average Joe. That's what he tries to portray,
and that may be what helps him, in a sense, right? That may be what helps him because, of course, those that are against Trump. It's always he's unrelatable. He doesn't understand the common man, the middle America. So I think that may be what helps Biden.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see the debate. What is that? Tomorrow or Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
No, that's going to be interesting, right?
So what? There are bookies that actually they have odds.
Really?
And drinking games.
The presidential debate generated like billions of dollars. Yeah, they're literally the guys in Las Vegas were betting on everything from how many times Trump interrupted him to like who would win the debate. I mean, it's literally a contest.
It's drinking games too. You know that, right? People, how many times does this happen? You take a shot.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
It became more entertainment than it was, on policy.
Yeah.
But isn't that crazy that we're saying the presidential debate is more entertaining than it is informative?
Hey, correct.
On Saturday Night Live.
That's a dystopic society. Look, we could sit up here and talk about, but what you're talking about is dysfunctional because can you imagine bookies back in John F. Kennedy and Nixon's day? Like, who's gonna win? And
look at Saturday Night Live. They're doing the debate. I'm gonna watch it though because Jim Carrey is gonna play Biden.
Oh God!
And then Alec Baldwin is playing 45.
And he's so that's gonna be hilarious.
Just think political is on Saturday Night Live and it's entertainment.
But they have mastered that genre. I remember what was that the vice president, the one that wore red all the time. I can't. She's up in Alaska. Oh my God!
The one that was running for vice president.
Sarah Palin.
Thank you.
So Sarah Palin, the Saturday Night Live personality, so dead on,
I think it was
spot on.
Faye.
Tina Fey. So maybe it was at that point that there was really a shift, and it was so small that we really didn't recognize it. That started this whole getting 45. It was like we didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, we didn't.
We didn't take policy seriously, especially with her. And then so I think that maybe was the shift that we kind of didn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, there was a moment, and Trump's admitted it. He said, I'll tell you exactly when all of this started. Remember when Barack was in that press conference and he was humiliating him and saying, I guess you want to know what Tupac and Biggie are doing next, and people were laughing at Trump. Trump said that at that moment, he said, I'm running against these SOBs and I'm going to take this over. But he's also made subsequent statements. This was a decade or more ago. He said, if I ever ran for president, I would run in the Republican Party, he said, because they are going to be more gullible to the stuff that I would my agendas.
Right.
And so he was a Democrat right up until
his family. They were still registered Democrats.
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And so he turned coat because his thing was he can get more of his agenda through. And at that time, if you look back at the Obama years, you had 2 years back to back. The second one wasn't even a contest. Obama just won hands down. The Democrats were running the House the first time. They lost it on the second. But if you think about that time frame, oh my gosh! I mean that was a pretty historic sort of shift because that's when the Tea Party and everything started emerging as a movement. you know, as opposed to it just being, oh yeah, you know, these Republicans or GOP. It became a movement. It became like, hey, our country is in danger and we've got to save it. And I don't think most people. Tomorrow, I'm excited to have, and it'll be interesting to have you actually talk to her now. I'm thinking about, she's a Republican, very conservative. She's a correspondent, and we're going to be talking about this exact, you know, dynamic. But the thing that I guess, and my question to you guys would be, when you look at these two parties and the way that they have now sort of really cut this hard line, is there any hope that you think we're going to listen to each other, or is this just going to end in like Armageddon or something? What's going on? Because nobody's listening.
Well, the flip side of that is you do have Republicans that are now standing up against him. I don't know if you recall me mentioning the Lincoln Project, which is a strong resistance for Trump. And so, yeah, I think there is some partisanship, because remember, bipartisanship is when you're working together. There is a lot of partisanship, but I think we're starting to move towards bipartisanship, because you do have some Republicans that are very vocal against what's going on. So,
yeah, because it is amazing, especially with a Supreme Court judge. What's confusing to me is, maybe you can help me. So when Obama was, I guess he was leaving office, he had finished his second term, and he could have appointed someone to the Supreme Court, and they were like, no, you can't do it. It's just wrong for you to do it. So why are they, I mean, I know ultimately, you know, why they want to do it, but even with the election coming up, what's their reasoning for saying, okay, well, Trump can make this decision?
Because then they wanted a predominantly Republican.
Yeah, I just didn't know
Supreme
if it was
Court.
because okay, he only has one term. You know, that was the second term, and
well, I think they fear him not winning this next term, and that may be part of it, because they want to control, you know, the court.
But I mean, that's pretty selfish for you to say, for you to see that you said no this time, and
they do that a lot.
It's egregious because the other Supreme Court, he died. I don't think he died. I think he was murdered. That's what I think, because he was on some hunting trip in Texas, and then all of a sudden he had a heart attack, and then they incinerated the body 2 days later. Like I mean, how do you do that? You've got a sitting Supreme Court justice, and you don't do an autopsy. You just conclude it's a heart attack. Come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that was 10 months in, and they blocked Obama through that whole time, right up until they were able to get Trump in there. Now, 4 months or less than 4 months. This is what, 2 months in. They're trying to push a Supreme Court justice onto the bench. And of course, it's another conservative. But the one thing, and we're going to take a break here in a second, that I heard that I thought, you know what, that should not have happened on Obama's watch. And that was that Trump made this statement. Now, I didn't fact check it, but he made the statement that Obama left 128 seats, Supreme Court, state level courts, seats open. And that's why Mitch McConnell, who really is the architect behind appointing all those judges, that's why he has been so effective at filling so many seats, because Obama didn't fill those seats, and he had the ability to fill those seats because he could appoint those people.
We have to fact check that one.
Yeah.
Have to fact check that one.
Yeah, but that's what I heard, and I wouldn't think that Obama would be that sloppy, quite frankly.
And I know certain commentators that would have definitely brought that up.
Yeah,
that's what we've been focusing on now, is that Trump has appointed the most judges. Then I think there's only one other president.
I think
it's Carter.
Yeah.
And so we got to fact check that.
Yeah. Well, so for those listening, I mean, what's the ramifications of this? It's pretty substantial, because when you have a conservative sort of judiciary, you have a situation where everything from Roe versus Wade to all these other constitutional battles that have taken place are essentially in jeopardy of being reversed, being turned over, etc., because we now have a very conservative judiciary, many of whom are in their 40s and will likely serve for the next 30 years.
Yes, yes, that's scary.
So put your seats and tray tables in their upright and locked positions. It's gonna be a bumpy
So voting
ride.
is important. So we need to get into the voting and how your vote does count.
Yes.
Even though we don't go by popular vote, in a sense we do, as it pertains to electoral college. So
we are, and we're gonna have that conversation, folks. You are listening to The Morning Edge here on the Edge Radio Network, right here live at Midtown Bar and Grill. We invite you to come out, have breakfast, and join us for these types of conversations. We're going to take a break. We are here with Sean Eaglin and Dr. Kiva Davis. We'll be back in just a moment.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com. or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And good morning, good morning. This is The Morning Edge here on the Edge Radio Network. We have been having a fascinating discussion with Dr. Kiva Davis and Sean Eaglin. We're talking about the political landscape and what's been happening. Now, a couple of weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun here at Edge Radio, we had the pleasure, privilege of doing a voter registration drive. And so, you know, I love talking to some of the folks that were registering, and, you know, I see engagement. I see some excitement from our young people as far as wanting to get into this. And then some people, I'm hearing them say, they're a little lethargic. They're not really into it. I mean, what do you guys vibe on engagement levels?
I don't know. I can't really say. Have you noticed anything?
Well, those that I engage are passionate about it, but maybe it's because of the circles that I'm in. they're ready to vote.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, like you said, the circle that you're in, and sometimes they're so passionate. I have to tell my mother, okay, let's talk about something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Well, older people generally are more engaged. You know, I think they have more time on their hands.
True.
They've been around the block a few times, so we see a high level of engagement with the senior community.
Well, social media is showing that the young individuals are passionate right now too.
Yeah.
And of course, it has to do with the political environment. A lot, I think, has to do, I'll say, with African Americans, with police brutality, that notion. So I think maybe that's one of the fuels to the fire for the passion about voting.
Mm-hmm. So there's been this sort of barrier to entry, mental block, whatever we want to call it, from people, where they're essentially saying, what's the point in voting? Because, you know, this electoral college stuff is going to decide who the president is. So if I'm in North Dakota and, you know, I get the same amount of votes as someone in California, what is that? So Sean, break this down for us. Give us a little bit of an education.
Break down that
I'll make it simple too, and I'll just use Texas as the example. I'll bring up California too. So California and Texas were the top two states that have the most electoral college votes. But here's the thing. So every state has 2 senators, correct?
Yeah.
So that's 2 electoral college votes. And then it depends upon your house, right? And so that's dictated by population. So we have 34 in total electoral college votes. So we have 2 senators and 32 House reps, right? So with that being said, but population controls who gets those electoral college votes. So if Biden gets the most votes, popular votes in Texas, he gets those electoral college votes. You get what I'm saying?
If he gets the popular vote,
the population.
But Hillary got the popular vote. And
no,
still
in this
lost
state. I'm only talking about the electoral college vote in this state,
in Texas.
So that's why.
So you get the 34.
Go to those bigger states that have
exactly.
More
so that's why it's
college.
important for them, because now you have to have at least 270 electoral college votes to become president, right? So if you win a bunch of the states that only have the small, right, which is what happened, you can still lose even if you have the popular vote. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to vote. Texans, get out and vote so we can win the popular votes, so that we can get those electoral college votes. And that's essentially why they go to.
I know, but I still say just let everyone's vote count. You know why?
That would be. Unfortunately, we don't live in a true
vote.
Right. We don't live in a true. So it's really important for you to vote, because you want to ensure that the candidate that you're, supporting gets the, the most electoral college votes they can, right?
But I think it's a fair statement to make, and if I lived in Wyoming or Montana, I would probably still feel this way, that I should not have the same stroke as California or New York, that's got 15 million people versus 1.5 million. It just seems like it makes no sense.
Well, the true census is that I think most Americans feel like every vote should count regardless of what state. So with that being stated, it's not a true democracy if it's electoral college. That's the debate.
I don't know. Our politics, sometimes it seems so sneaky and underhanded that you hope that when they're in the back room saying how many popular votes that someone did receive, that they're not going, you know what? I know they got more, but we want this.
Well, we know Florida came up with that. That was a big thing when
the hanging
Bush
chads.
ran.
That Chad thing was serious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because with Bush and Gore, that was nuts.
Yeah,
it was Bush. Like 2-3 weeks before we knew who the president was, and then they voted Bush in. I mean, he didn't even win. That was the crazy part. They were like, "Well, okay, we decided it's gonna be Bush." And then, shortly after that, we got 9/11.
And that's when you start to say, well, what is this electoral college?
But you just struck a little nerve when you said what you said about how it's all underhanded, because that's a problem I have. Like, to me, there's such a lack of transparency It's so nefarious the way that this country operates. So just take a section of this, a cross section. For an example, you have the pharmaceutical or oil industries or whatever, and these guys will say, okay, we're going to frack because fracking is going to get us most profit in the shortest period of time.
Destroy the environment.
We don't care that it's destroying the water aquifers. We don't care that birds in Wyoming are dying. Who cares, right? But then one day your great grandchildren will never know what that bird looked like because you destroyed it. But yet you've got a lobby group that you can essentially give them $500 million and walk into a politician's office and say, listen, you want to get back in again? Why don't we just agree on what we need to agree on? And that's the process. And so you have votes for sale, you have policy for sale, and you have a country that's going to hell in a handbasket because of special interests. And the whole thing stinks to high holy heaven. It stinks.
Yeah. And then there's something about that, because I think 45 was telling people they could go frack in Alaska. He was going to use some wildlands, but on the flip end, Shell is laying off people. Then they're going to get money from the government to not lay off people. And it's like that old commercial. Remember that guy just walking around and to do more drugs? And
It's funny. My sister-in-law, she's been with Chevron for quite some time, and she's having to reapply for her job. She's like, I can't believe I have to reapply. You know?
Yeah, and that's what they're doing in Shell.
Crazy.
So that's crazy.
But you can take the oil industry, but you could take the food industry. I mean, you've got farmers that are subsidized or paid not to produce. Because you have silos of food that spoil and they're literally paying these subsidies to have this food spoil. And then you have drug companies.
And you have homelessness. You know, it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's
exactly.
But
it's like,
you know, I don't even want to call it weird. I want to call it undefatigable bull.
I know, right? Yeah.
Like, come on, man. We're human beings, and at the end of the day, what the hell are we doing to each other? Like, we're destroying the environment, we're destroying the human health, and we're challenging this viral. Yeah, humanity. So maybe I'm wearing black today. I don't know. It's Black Monday. I don't know. I don't want to seem overly pessimistic here, but what the hell, man?
It is what it is. So remember, we are second to California with the number of electoral college votes. They have 55. We have 34.
Yeah.
California usually goes more Democratic, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And Texas is usually more Republican.
So maybe we can turn it.
But Texas is getting kind of purple right now.
Yeah, because we how many house reps did we get? I think 10 more that we got, which was like made history. I think we hadn't had that like 12 years or something. But anyway, so we might be able to turn it. That would be so historic.
Yeah.
I wonder because in Houston I can see purple. But when I'm driving in between those little small towns,
that's the thing. The majority of Texas,
red.
That's the thing. The majority of Texas.
Oh, I was up in. I was riding my bike last weekend, and I rode up to Montgomery County, which is red district.
Right.
My brother just moved up there, and so and it was funny because I decided, let me go into a restaurant.
I thought you said bicycle. Never mind.
No, motorcycle. No, when I say anytime I say bike, never think bicycle. I like a big fire breathing dragon underneath me.
I was talking about cycling.
So what was weird is I go up there, like I would die if I tried to ride a bike up to Montgomery, but I went up there and I had my mask on when I walked in. And everybody looked at me like, "What is your problem?" It was so so bizarre. Like no one had a mask on. So I looked and I'm like, because I'm cool not having a mask on. I mean, I've got a pretty good resistance level, and I have theories about that we can get into if y'all want to get pissed off at what I'm going to say. But I took off my mask and I asked the girl, I'm like, why isn't anyone wearing a mask in here? Isn't that a law? She goes, well, up here in Montgomery County, our mayor said that it's optional and it's up to our discretion whether we want to mandate a mask in here or not. And our owner decided not to. I said, oh, okay. But it was weird. It was just the way that they received it. But to your point, as soon as you get out of Houston, Harris County proper.
In every direction.
you are surrounded by red.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you talk to, and I don't know if you guys have had these conversations, because I haven't asked your political leanings. I'm sort of inclined to believe that, based on what we talked about, but have you had conversations with Republicans that have been meaningful, or are they just resistant to any ideas that you bring forth? I mean, have you all had any of those types of discussions?
I actually shared that on my first visit here, that at one of the poll locations, the guy was very, very disrespectful in the beginning, and he had even, remember I mentioned he had that T-shirt he made with the donkey on its back, and it had ass or something on there.
Yeah.
And my aunt she just lost it, so she had to walk off. And I just stayed there and, kind of let my emotions take a back seat. And we just talked about various facts. And he actually kind of warmed up to me. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to reach someone if you're combative with them, right? So I've been able to have some, even online, because I have to make sure that I respond to some of the questions when I was, managing Lieutenant Janine Hughes. And they would just say, I'll never forget one of them said, Democrats don't believe in working. They kill babies. She had a long list of things.
Wow.
And I said, well, I think there are probably some Republicans out there that have had abortions. There's probably some Republicans that are like, let's be realistic and logical.
I would love to, and I would want it to be based on logic and not emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know why.
Yeah. Well, we can dig into that, unpack it a little bit more. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are joined by Dr. Kiva and oh my God, I almost said Robin, Sean Eaglin.
Your mogul on the move.
We'll have Robin. This is the mogul on the move, Miss Sean Eaglin. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and continue this conversation about our political process here in just a moment.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk.
And I bring the unity.
And together we talk about unity. Unity is what matters.
Come on.
And right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad to Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk About Unity, because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters. The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay,
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And we are back. You're listening to the Morning Edge here on the Edge Radio Network, Midtown Bar and Grill. We're at 415 West Gray. Feel free to come by, have breakfast, enjoy, and join us for some stimulating and interesting conversations. We've been sort of going in a little bit. We've been understanding a little bit more about the Electoral College and some of what's been going on with these votes. And you bring out a point, Sean, that but Texas is a very, very crucial state right now.
Yes,
so this could be a swing state.
Yeah, the second largest amount of electoral college votes next to California.
I mean, and that's a big. It's like California's 55 and Texas 34.
Yeah.
That's a.
And Harris County is the largest county in Texas. It's got the biggest population. It may not be the geographic largest, but it's got the biggest population.
Where's the geographic largest as well?
Okay.
We're the size of Rhode Island, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're the largest.
That's good to know. So we have a lot of sort of left-leaning individuals. What about the rest of Texas? What's the read on the rest of Texas?
Well, I think we all know that. Most Texans know that most of the rest of Texas.
You drive out of Houston, even going to, like I was driving to Livingston, Livingston. It was, a lot of Trump signs. Right outside of the Woodlands, going towards Conroe, I would see a lot of Texas, Trump signs. That was just yesterday when I was driving to Dallas.
Yeah.
So you do see a lot. And you had asked the question, had you talked to a Republican? I have. She hasn't told me if she is or isn't. But one of her reasons that she kind of support Trump was because of Israel. She's like, because he helped Israel. I was like, okay, so what about this? And the only reason she was supporting him was based on that.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, but he's not showing Christian values, so why are you?
Exactly.
But it's so interesting that she couldn't shift her mind to think differently. Now she is a Latino. And she believes that they should close those borders.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your family wasn't even born here. So her family were immigrants, but she doesn't think immigrants should come.
So what was her reasoning when you brought up the fact that her family?
Because they're murderers and they're rapists. Because who said that?
Oh God.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting conversation. Yeah. So so brown and black, you still have to say no. We don't really. Can't put them into any categories, but I just thought that was an interesting conversation.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, and when people talk to someone that's in an opposing party, they think they've lost their minds. This other person, right? But there are some interesting, and I get this directly from someone that I know, trust, love, and is on the front lines in California. He said that, yeah, there were a lot of drug dealers that were coming over the border because all they had to do was walk across, and now they're in America and they can sell drugs. He said there was. And there's a huge amount of sex trafficking, you know, taking girls over the border and trafficking them. So there wasn't, you know, this idea of people being interned in cages was horrible, and it did happen,
Right.
but there was also the other side. Like, for example, I saw something. Remember when there was all these people, I think it was from Honduras, Nicaragua, that were walking, and they're all walking to the border, and it just happened to be midterm elections, and that was staged. Now, of course, that's a pretty bold statement to just make, but the evidence was in the video. If you go back to the video, you literally see these are supposed to be refugees that are fleeing from Nicaragua or El Salvador because their lives are in danger. And they got brand new iPhones, they got book bags, they got shoes and slippers, and they're walking in what we call chancletas. You know, these are like flip-flops. I'm like, really? You walk from Nicaragua to Mexico in flip-flops? Get the hell out. So what was really happening, and this is the crap that causes me to have a problem with the Democratic Party as well, because there were people in that party that were doing this. They orchestrated those, they literally picked those people up in buses and trucks, and they brought them to these areas, and they gave them knapsacks and book bags and cell phones and all this stuff as an incentive to do that. So these are local people that essentially were being paid to get some footage of them walking across a bridge, and they're carrying the little babies, and it's a terrible, you know, human tragedy and so on. So that's nefarious, okay? And that wasn't on the Republican side. That was on the Democratic side. Whoever orchestrated that.
I guess my thing is so go with the things that are just said from the people that are running. You know, because there's a lot of backdoor stuff that we don't know.
Exactly, on both sides.
I only base it on what's coming out of your mouth with no saying what conspiracy and what's going on.
Right.
I'm only basing it on your character.
Exactly.
That's it. Just your character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your character?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have backhanded stuff on both sides. It's crazy to think you could say our party is perfect. Our party is perfect. We already know it's going to be some of that on both sides. But like you were saying, okay, whenever you talk to someone who supports Trump and you bring out the negative things that he spewed, they never have a rebuttal.
They don't have a rebuttal.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
always he's going to make it great again.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the thing is, I don't want it to be based on emotion. Just give me logic. Why do you support him?
Right, and that's where people are sort of hard pressed. A couple of weeks ago, I had an interesting encounter right here in the studio. They were shooting a BBC documentary, and we were using the studio here as part of the backdrop. And this big old strapping Texan man comes walking in, and he's all about NRA and guns and so on. So, you know, he comes up and shakes my hand. I'm like, so I'm looking at this guy. So I said, let me ask you a question. Because I try to learn. If I'm in front of someone that I know thinks differently than me, I'm a student. I want to learn. So I said, based on the divide in this country and the bipartisanship that's so pervasive, do you believe that we are going to resolve things? Or are we headed for a civil war or something? And this guy looked me, didn't even miss a beat. He said, oh, there's going to be a war. I said, really? He said, I'll tell you this. There's few things that I'm willing to die for. But one of those things is if you try to take away my ability to bear arms, I am going to fight, and you're going to have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands.
But who's trying to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no one is.
The belief is that the Second Amendment is under fire, and that people like Beto O'Rourke made a statement that I will take away your guns. And of course his statement was predicated on this idea that you got AR-15s and stuff like that are out there murdering school kids, which is egregious.
Exactly.
But I guess my response, or want to call it a rebuttal to that, and I wish I was on the air with that dude when I was talking to him, because that would have been game on. And then unfortunately too, I didn't go into it because he had to get his shoot started. But my thing would be this. Okay, so you've got an AR-15, you got this rifle, and you took out the butt, so it's pretty. You got ammunition out the wazoo. So who are you fighting exactly? Okay, so you're fighting the United States government. Okay, let's put that in perspective.
So that's what you told him?
Well, no, this is where I wanted to go.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you got a pea shooter. I don't care if you got an AR-15. These guys got cannons.
Exactly.
They got tanks.
Exactly.
And they could take a drone and drop the equivalent of napalm on your ass. What are you going to do then when they incinerate your family? You will not win when you're fighting against the United States Army, the most powerful army in the world. I don't care how many.
Well, from my conversations with
at Black Wall Street.
My conversations with different people, one in the FBI, one in law enforcement on a local level, they're preparing for more, not what you're saying, but for more of an increase on national terrorism or hate crimes to increase if he does not win the presidency. So I don't think that they're concerned about the government. They're concerned about those who are against what their beliefs are. So